Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So today here with my colleagues, we'll be introducing to you MGKO, a consultancy company headed by Mohamed Hendry, which offers services like secretarial appointments and tax registrations. So to analyze this, we use the PESTEL, the Potters 5 forces, and the SWOT analysis. So firstly, I'll talk about the PESTEL analysis, the political factors. In Botswana, we enjoy political stability. So hence it means that there will be less disruptions for MGKO's operations. Move on to the next factor, the economic factors. Under the economic factors, we look at Botswana's economic growth, as stated by the African Development Bank, that Botswana's economic growth provides opportunity for MGKO's consultancy services, as more people will be venturing into businesses. Social factors. So under social factors, we look at workforce characteristics, cultural factors, and demographics. They influence MGKO's availability of competent consultants and potential clients. In the technological factors. So it is important for MGKO. So it's important for MGKO to follow technological trends so that it's able to stay ahead of its competitors. The environmental factors. If MGKO is dealing with clients that like construction companies, it will have to follow the environmental impact assessments regulations. Environmental rules will have to apply to MGKO. The legal factors. Knowledge of legal requirements such as business registrations and intellectual property protection is crucial for MGKO. So I will give to my colleague to talk about the Potters 5 forces.
So on the Potters 5, we have the threat of new entrants, the likelihood of new companies coming into the consulting industry. So in Botswana, we have barriers like the need for specialized knowledge certificates, such as the consent and certificate of security, as well as client networking. Therefore, we can say there's a low threat. Then the bargaining power of suppliers, meaning the services that MGKO will need in order to operate. Services like the training and certificate providers, BK and Botswana Consulting Botswana, services like technology and software suppliers. So because of that power, we can say there's a moderate to high power. Moving on to the bargaining power of buyers, the ability of clients to negotiate prices and terms. So in Botswana, there is a pool of small consultancies in which firms can negotiate those fees and prices. Therefore, we can say there's a moderate power. Then threat of substitutes, alternative solutions that meet the same needs as MGKO. So that will be in-house expertise, can be collaborations or peer groups, and also online resources. Because of those informal ways of getting insights, we can say there is a low to medium threat. Then lastly, competitive variable, the amount of competition in the consulting industry. According to our sources, there are about 456 consulting businesses in Botswana. So that proves that there is a high intensity, right? So from our source, we listed some of the MGKO's competition. We have Mass African Empire, which focuses on finances, Ultimatum, which focuses on geographic information systems. With that said, this means that MGKO should implement an innovative culture so as they are ahead in terms of their competitive advantages. I'll hand over to Mr. Tankomo for the internal environment.
So I'll be talking about the client's internal environment of MGKO. So I'll start with the capabilities, which are the resources plus their competence in using them. So the capabilities stated that we have discovered are they have a high consulting expertise, their problem-solving skills are quite high, and they also adopt a customer-centric approach. So the resources that we had stated down are the human resources, which are the employees, and their skills, which become leveraged. Then they've got their technological resources. They use a technology where they store their client information called Kwebo Online Database. And they've got their financial resources. Our sources reveal that MGKO is number 2 in Botswana in terms of the consultancy company. So that means they've got money is flowing in, and they've got enough resources to sustain themselves and even venture into new areas and adopt new innovations. So the structure that they possess is the organic structure. So the organic structure, they have a low degree of formality, and the decision making is decentralized, and there's lateral communication. So the workplace is flexible. So then I like to go into the culture. They adopt a client-centric culture, and these are the values. As you can see, the values that are adopted in client-centric culture, they always put their customers first. Then I like to go on to their stakeholders. They've got their clients. Since they adopt a client-centric culture, their clients, they always put their clients first. Hence, their clients are a very important factor of MGKO succeeding. Then they've got their employees. Their employees, they possess skills. They possess skills whatsoever that help drive the company forward. So if those skills being leveraged well, they drive MGKO to its maximum potential. Then we've got their financial stakeholders, which are the shareholders and the owners of the company. But currently, the financial stakeholders that we know of is only Mogomitsi Hendrik. He's a sole proprietor, so he's the only financial stakeholder. Then we've got regulatory stakeholders, also known as gatekeepers. We're talking about the CIPA, the BICA, the BIRDS, and the Botswana Consultancy Organization, which gives certifications and documents in order for you to practice within the consulting space. And if they don't give you that, then you can't proceed. Then I'll be done for now. Then I'd like to pass on to my colleague.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Next on our item list is clients available options. Our external client, MGKO Consultancy Services, needs a decentralized intervention in order to transform into an innovative organization that will thrive in dynamic and complex environments in order to manage formerly mentioned external changes. Therefore, it is imperative that the client's available options are centered around achieving flexibility. As consultants consulting e-consultancy services, we reckon that a system of forces and forms in organizations be used to give direction of the firm. Secondly, our organizational design is meant to facilitate knitting an innovative and proficient strategy. Let us take a deep dive into our department analysis and look at the factors at play. Under marketing and sales, we'll look at the short-term problem. The short-term problem we identified was lack of brand engagement or low social media engagement. And our available option was to sponsor social media posts and pages. Secondly, on the midterm, we have identified that we have a lack of market understanding, and we intend on solving that through performing a market research. And lastly, on the tertiary level, we identified that there's no marketing information system. A marketing information system helps us with decision making. Therefore, we intend on engaging a brand enhancing consultant so that they may aggregate all these problems to come up with one solution. Secondly, we'll move on to the next department. The next department is customer interface options. On the short term, we realize that there's poor customer relationship management. And how do we intend on solving that? We intend on solving that through the customer relationship management implementation strategy. On the midterm, we can see that we have a poor, or we have customer complaints not being addressed. And we intend on introducing after-sales strategies where we send customers client feedback forms so that they may give us the data that we need to improve our services. And lastly, under customer interface, we have a long-term challenge of no existence of communication mediums. Therefore, how do we intend on solving that? We intend on introducing client engagement policies, which means that clients will not be engaging with the sole proprietor, who is Mr. Mogomuti, For services that they can get assistance on, they'll have to contact those at the office. And lastly, the department will go on to its financial performance and management. The short-term problem we identified is services rendered on debt requests, and we intend on introducing a debt policy framework. Why do we want to do so? We want to do so to govern ourselves as a business and also the client, so that we may collect our floating profits from them for services rendered. And then on the medium term, we have unmonitored cash flow. How do we intend on solving this? We intend on introducing retainer agreements. Why do we talk about retainer agreements? Retainer agreements help us to have a predictable cash flow that can be structured to help the organization manage its on-field and in-field daily operations. And lastly, on the long-term perspective, we realize that there are no field budgets and customer acquisition costs. MGKO does not document neither of these, and we intend on developing an operations budget. Thank you. I'll pass on to Ronald.
All this cannot work without focusing on the organizational structure. Firstly, we have to understand what an organizational structure is. An organizational structure refers to how a business arranges its workforce and activities in order to achieve its objectives or goals, right? We have to know that it defines roles and responsibilities and the hierarchy within an organization, right? And this arrangement helps facilitate communication, coordination, and the efficient use of resources, right? Now, how can an organization configure its structure? We have theories and models that can be used to configure a structure within an organization, right? But here we're going to be mainly focusing on the Mintzberg configuration. The Mintzberg configuration theory was developed by Henry Mintzberg. It was developed in order to assist businesses or organizations adopt this configuration into configuring the structure of their business, right? We have configurations such as the vocabulary organization, the entrepreneurial organization, the diversified organization, and professional organization, also the autocracy. But we are going to be mainly focusing on three aspects. We are going to be focusing on three configurations, which is the vocabulary organization, the diversified organization, and the autocracy. The vocabulary organization main focuses on exploiting the skills of the employees that the business have. That is why it is mentioned that it is structured around the specialized skill sets or competencies. So, moving on to the diversified organization. The diversified organization, this will implement it in a way that we are trying to broaden the portfolio of the MGKO consultancy company. We are doing this in order to mitigate risk. We are trying to spread the risk of not relying on one market. And with the autocracy, we are looking at fostering innovation, the culture of innovation, and also so that the roles and the dynamics of the company are not that rigid, they are fluid. Hence why we recommend MGKO to change its structure. The way we are going to change the structure, we are going to be mainly focusing on three departments. These departments include financial consulting, business development, and secretarial services. As you can see here, we have the services that are going to be provided under each of these departments. And these departments are going to be intersecting with one another. And at the middle, we have our strategic apex. The strategic apex will be our entrepreneur, which is Mr. Mohammed Hendricks. And we'll have the techno structure and the support staff, where these departments intersect with one another. The techno structure may be, like my colleague Kozo mentioned, about bringing an enhancing brand enhancing consultant. Those are the outliers that help the business in order to achieve its goals in terms of reaching out to its market, right? And we have the support staff. The support staff are the employees that the business have, right? the way this structure is going to help in terms of fostering a culture of teamwork and also innovation, because this department can operate independently and also together. What we mean by they work together, we mean, for example, the business development. When a business is being consulted, they may need a consultation of financials. What we can do here, we cannot depend on the business development side to consult on financials, while they can refer that consultation to the financial consulting department, where they will provide financial solutions for that business. And if there is any secretarial services that are needed in terms of, for example, tax clearance, resolutions, and all the like, they will revert that problem to the secretarial services, and that's how this structure is going to work. And that will be all from our group, and we'll open the floor for questions from you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation.